This conference will now be recorded.
Good. So last session we are going through securities, Jenkins access control, and as a part of this, we have covered three types of authorization strategy: matrix-based, and also the project-based, and then the role-based. So last session was totally regarding on role-based. We have seen how to create the roles, I think, but we haven't seen how to create the roles for the nodes, I guess, right? Okay, let's do that actually. So we have created roles. So as an overall Jenkins level, we have created some roles even at the jobs level. Let's create roles at node level. So very simple things, we can easily do it well. So and then later after that, we'll talk about it. Okay. So we create roles for nodes. Let's do that for today. And then let's talk about Tomcat securities as well. And then, so we talk about Tomcat deployments. So how we can deploy through Jenkins to a Tomcat server. Okay, let's talk about it. Well, firstly, so start our Jenkins. Hope I'm audible to everyone. So if I'm not audible, I think I'm audible. So probably people, those who are to whom I'm not audible, please make sure you just check your connections. Okay, so check your internet connections if I'm not audible. But I'm moving on to Jenkins. So what was the IP address? That's the IP address. So it's 192.168.240.138 it was. What is that? So why we have only these two jobs? Okay, I think okay, that's because of we have senior user login. That's the reason. I just log out and log in as an admin. But and so try with again manage Jenkins. So go with the role-based securities, right? So where are the roles? Here we have the roles, manage and assign roles, and manage roles. So we have created roles at overall, that means global. Also we have created roles at item, that means at job. Now we will be creating node roles. Okay. See, there is a node. Let's open some node. So we all have been managing the nodes. We know what kind of actions we can do on nodes. Take some node. Okay. So this is my node. That's my node name. And then, so you can configure a node. You can delete a node. You can also launch a node. If the node is connected, you can disconnect it. You can do all these kind of actions on a node. Okay. But I want to control these actions for a user. So how do we do that? That's why we have roles. And then first give some role name. But before you give a role name, there is a pattern. So what is a pattern? Pattern is nothing but your node name. Copy the node name. In terms of jobs, so I have created job patterns, right? Now, in job or items, I have created pattern. So at this level, the pattern is nothing but name of the job. But here, the pattern is nothing but name of the node. So I have copied the node name, and there is my node name. And the role to add, so you can give any role name. Let's say only connect. Okay. If the node is disconnected, I want to connect it. That's my role name. And then agent, and then you have connect, as well as disconnect. Okay, this is my role is regarding. I want to create another role, all. Okay, so add a role for the same pattern name. You see that the pattern name does not change. And all means I want the users build, configure, connect, delete, and then disconnect and provisioning. Provisioning means they can create a new one. Okay, and the credentials part, this is here regarding managing credentials. Okay, so we have set some credentials, right? Those credentials want to users to be managed, we can do it. Well, so save it, and then so assign the roles. We have created role. Then next step is assigning role, and while we assign the roles, we assign the roles at nodes, and then for users, you want to add some users. Let's say we have users senior, and add the user, and also we have junior, add a user, and then so all senior, and then connect for junior. Senior can do all operations, whereas junior only connect and disconnect. Okay, these are the permissions. So save it, and done. So you can try to log in with those users and check the permissions again. First senior. So let me check the nodes. Okay. So I go with this node senior, right? Linux is C2. I can delete, I can do anything. Okay. But whereas if you go with other nodes, Linux nodes, something like this, right? I can't do anything with this. I can see them, but I can't see them. I mean, I can't so do anything on this. And whereas the second user, so this user, and then so take the Linux node is Linux EC2 again. I can launch it. That means I can connect it. And that is connected, I can disconnect it, but I can't build and then disconnect it. Right? So that is the difference between these two users. Anyway, that's simple one. So I think you might have already tried it, but if you haven't tried it, this is how you control the user permissions. Okay. Well, so among these all permissions, which one is preferred? So do we prefer matrix based, project based, or role based? So which one is preferred? So I prefer project based. So why project based? So why not role based? See, project based are firstly easy to manage. That means you can go to a project, you can see the users who are added to the project. It's easy. But whereas role based, just assume that I have some number of jobs. I have, let's say I have about 50 jobs. So if you have 50 jobs, how many roles you will be creating at least? At least I will be creating 100 roles, right? Like read access, all access. Sometimes you may have to provide more access. So you'll be having 100 roles. So you need to manage 100 roles. So when managing 100 roles is not an easy task. Even though if you do a small mistake regarding these roles, that will be reflecting all the users, those who are assigned with the roles. So roles are rather than role based, so we prefer project based. And moreover, project based has even matrix based included, right? So even of course roles also have them, but so it's not easy to manage the roles. If you are really have some good perfection, then you can prefer the role based. If you're not sure about the roles, how to create them, so don't go with the role based. Prefer project based. Okay, fine. Now let's talk about this Tomcat securities. Okay, now we have seen a lot of things on these securities certificates. So let's talk about Tomcat securities. Just a second. I'm going to just open my Tomcat page. Let's open Tomcat homepage. Okay. Then, so this is my Tomcat homepage. Okay, that's the IP address, and then we have port number. That's my Tomcat page. So in this, so what do I see? I have an option called Manager App. So what is Manager App? Click on it. It's asking us to log into Tomcat. So what is that login? How to create the credentials? That is what is regarding securities. We talk about it. But before that, we understand what is a Manager App by logging into it. How to create these credentials? That is secondary. We'll talk about that. But I'm logging in with my existing credentials. Add and then password. Okay. Now I have logged into Manager App. So what is Manager App? Manager App is used to manage the applications which are deployed on Tomcat. So what do you mean by that? Okay. So I have an example. I have some application. Look at my application name is sample application. See, all these applications are loaded through this Tomcat Manager page. Since all these applications are already deployed on your Tomcat in Manager, in web apps of your Tomcat. So let me open web apps directory, cd Tomcat, and then web apps, and then so there you see that all these are the applications. We know that. So these are all the applications which are on your Tomcat. So I can see the same applications from the Tomcat GUI page, user interface page. This is my user interface, right? The same applications, I see them. So for example, there is a sample application, right? That's sample application. I just click on it. This is my application URL. Okay. Now I want to stop the application. I don't want any users to use my application. Then we can go with stop. Okay, I can stop my application. Click on the stop. See the stop there. So click on stop. Then that application cannot be used anymore. You can see the status. You can start it, but the current status is stop is the current status. Now we just sample. Click on the sample. Refresh this. So application is not available anymore. Okay. So then you have other applications. These are other applications, but these applications I want to undeploy them. Let's say click on undeploy. Now you are undeploying it. So you want to undeploy that. Undeploy. Okay. So the purpose of this is just to load just to manage your applications. So I have some applications running on Tomcat and you want to manage them. Yes, you can manage them through the Tomcat Manager, web app manager. It's an application manager, whatever you call it. Okay. But so now, so what else we can use this manager app is for? We can use manager app even for deploying your applications. We can deploy the WAR files. That is also possible. Like in web app, how did we deploy the applications here? We deploy the applications through, so just by using some copy commands, right? Using some copy commands. I have copied that, so WAR files onto this Jenkins, onto this manager app. Okay. So, and then the same way you can deploy the applications even through the manager app page itself. This is our page, right? So WAR file to deploy, select the WAR file you want to deploy. So what I do, I just take some sample WAR file. Now, for example, let's say this is my sample WAR file, right? I undeploy that. So just remove that sample application. But I want to deploy the same application again. So if you want to deploy that, first of all, you can do some hands-on with this. Download the sample application, sample WAR download. You can download that from Google. Just click on that first URL. You can download it by Googling it. Just Google it, and then so you find that sample WAR file. And that WAR file, you download it, and then you upload it to the Tomcat. Now click here to download it. And once it is downloaded, and then, so this is your manager app. Choose a file to upload. And where is your sample file? So select the sample file. There is my sample file. Select it and then start deploying it. Now it is deployed. So there is your sample application. Now what is the URL of it? That's my URL. And also we have deployed Jenkins application, right? There is your Jenkins application. Okay. And you want to stop it, you want to reload it, you can reload it. So reloading means all the settings of your application will be reloaded again. For example, I have done some changes at my configuration level, changes at application level. And those changes you want to reload it into the application. So you can reload them. So by click on the reload option. Okay. So applications can be reloaded or configurations can be reloaded. So this is how we manage applications which are deployed on Tomcat. You can stop them, you can reload them, and then you can undeploy them. Okay. Well, let's talk about back to our Tomcat homepage. Back to the Tomcat homepage. That means the Tomcat URL. So what was the URL? So how did I log into this manager? How did I log into this manager app? Click on it. Okay, I think it is not giving that login window again. I think we need to clear the browser history because the credentials I have entered initially. When I had that pop-up window to enter the credentials, those credentials are saved in the history. I want to clear the browser history. So clear browser history. Just clear the history. Done. And then, so now click on that manage app. Now this is what so we're expecting. There is your sign in window. Now the question is, how do you sign in? Right. So if you want to sign in, then you create that user first. So if the user already created, then only we can sign in. Otherwise, we cannot sign in. But how to create the user? So here we talk about how to create users on Tomcat for security purposes. So if you want to create it, now first cancel it. Then you have some help window. In this window, the steps are given how to create users or how to provide securities to the Tomcat. You can provide securities to Tomcat by going to this file. Okay, so that is the file, configuration file, and in configuration directory you have Tomcat users.xml. Okay, well, so going to this file, we can create users. But how do you do that? This is the syntax. Some examples also given here. So what is the syntax is role name, and then user, username, password, the role. Now, so username, that can be anything, but what is that role and why that role is assigned to the user? Okay, so that role is assigned to the user because so I want to log into my Tomcat homepage through the manager app. Since I want to log into the Tomcat through the manager app from that window I have shown you previously, so through this manager app, okay, then you must have a role assigned. The role is manager GUI role. Okay, so that role Once the role is assigned to the user, user will be able to log into the Tomcat. Okay. So let's see how do we do that. Now in Tomcat home directory, we have config directory, then users.xml. Open that file on your Tomcat. So now we are on Tomcat home directory. Then, within the Tomcat, you have a subdirectory called config, and within that, you have a file called Tomcat users.xml. Okay, so open that file, Tomcat users.xml, and then this is your Tomcat configuration file. Users configuration file. So there are some examples also given here. These are the examples how to create the users. These are just examples, but they don't have any meaning. Okay, you can find the examples even from this page. Those are in comments. You see the comment, open comment, close the comment. Okay, but I have created my user already. I just have copied the same text from here. So what is this? I just have copied it. I just copied that and then already have that user created. You can see that role name is manager GUI, and then username, and for that user I have assigned manager GUI role. You can change the usernames, passwords if you want. You can do it, but the manager GUI is a default role, so which we need, which is a standard role that cannot be changed. Okay. But I have also created another user. Username is deploy, Tomcat is password, and then role is manager script. Now, what is this user is used for? We'll talk about that after some time. But initially, only concentrate on this. That's a user. My username is Tomcat, password is Tomcat, but the role I have assigned for that user is manager GUI role. Save it, and then restart your Tomcat. We know how to restart Tomcat. So in Tomcat home directory, we have bin directory. Then you can just shut down netsh, also startup.sh, restart your Tomcat. Okay. Now after this is restarted, then we just go back to the Jenkins, Tomcat URL. That's my Tomcat homepage. You click on the manager app, and here you enter the credentials. Now you log in. Okay, so this is how you understand how do you log into Tomcat through manager app. So you need to give some access control, securities first. Then once you log into manager app, you'll be able to log into Jenkins and then manage your, not Jenkins, sorry, Tomcat, and then manage your applications on Tomcat. Okay. Managing means you can deploy them, undeploy them, you can stop it, you can start it, you can reload them, you can do all these actions on the applications. All right, fine. Now we have seen even we can do the deployments onto the Tomcat from this option. Okay. So we have seen how to deploy them onto Tomcat in two ways. The first one was using some copy commands, copy WAR files manually. We have seen it, and now we have gone through the other way, like deploy from the manager app. You can deploy the applications through manager app, and thirdly, now we're going to try. We deploy the applications onto Tomcat through Jenkins. Okay, I'm going to deploy applications onto the Tomcat, through Jenkins. I'm going to create some jobs on Jenkins, and once I do that, those jobs will be deploying the applications onto the Tomcat when I run the jobs on Jenkins. Okay, hope that was clear. Now let's see how do you create those type of jobs. Right. So here we talk about deploy applications to the Tomcat through Jenkins. Now, so I'm creating a new item. So, but log into Jenkins first. Okay, I'm creating a new item, and this item name is, so give some name, deploy to Tomcat. And then I take a freestyle project again. So in freestyle project, I select the post build actions, and here in the post build actions, you have deploy WAR files, EAR files to a container. So we deploy the files. We deploy the packages. Okay. So what packages we can deploy? We can deploy WAR, EAR packages. Okay. That. So, but if you want to have this deploy WAR or EAR to a container option in the post build section, see, this option is not a default option by Jenkins. If you want to have this option available, make sure we install plugin first. Install that plugin. So what is that plugin name? The plugin name is deploy to container plugin. That's a plugin. So manager Jenkins. And then, so go with manage plugins. And the plugin I have installed for that purpose is deploy to container. 1 second, scroll down. There is your deploy to container plugin. Okay, good. So now it's already installed, and in your case, you just install it first. Okay. After the plugin is installed, and then you can see that plugins over here. You can see that option to deploy to container. What do you mean by container? Container is nothing but your Tomcat. See that you can deploy them onto Tomcat different versions. Apart from Tomcat, if you are using any other servers like JBoss, Glassfish, you can also deploy them. Okay, well, fine. Now let's see how to deploy the WAR files onto Tomcat container. And now first, in the first section, you mentioned what type of files you want to deploy. I want to deploy start.war files. I want to deploy all type of WAR files. Okay, fine. And then, so the file you want to deploy, what is that file name? So we deploy the same sample WAR file. So from here, from Jenkins, we have deployed that already, right? So onto the Tomcat, we have deployed it. But I want to remove that. Let's undeploy that. It's been undeployed. Sample application is no more available. But I'm going to deploy that same package through Jenkins. Now that is why we are creating a job on Jenkins. And there is your file. I mean the file name you want to deploy. And I'm deploying star.war means I'm deploying all WAR files. And then the context path, nothing but file name. And then the container where we are deploying them. I'm deploying that onto my Tomcat. And what is my Tomcat version? The Tomcat version is, I'm using Tomcat 8 version. I need that. So IP address plus port number. Okay. So I'm deploying that onto another Tomcat server. My Tomcat is running on 139. Okay, you see that? to 192, 168, 240 to 139. My Jenkins is running on 138. Okay, make sure. Well, then just go with that container. Which one? Tomcat 8 version. If you are Tomcat 9, select the Tomcat 9, but it's running on Tomcat 8. And then, so Tomcat URL, that's Tomcat URL. And then the credentials. Now, what kind of credentials? These are the Tomcat credentials where we are deploying that onto. So we are deploying that onto this Tomcat and then the credentials. But what credentials? Am I going to use manager app credentials? Now back to the users again. Now we are on server where Tomcat is running. And so how did we create the users? In config directory. So file name was Tomcat users.xml. That's a file name. Enter it and just scroll down, and there you look at here. So previously I have created a user called Tomcat user. Now I have another user called deploy user, password something. Then role, the role assigned for that user is manager script. If a user is assigned with manager script role, and that user, we can use it for the purpose of deploying. So if a user is assigned manager script role, that user we can use to deploy from third-party applications. In our case, what is the third-party application? Jenkins, right? So we're deploying through Jenkins onto the Tomcat. So your Jenkins is the third-party tool for Tomcat. In these cases, you make sure you have users with a role assigned manager script role. Okay, that. So that's the username, password. You can give any user any password, but the role must be manager script. Now, why I can't use that manager GUI role user? Why not that? Because that is only for manager login, manager app login. I cannot use that user for deploying purpose. That's why we have different roles created for purpose. Okay. Now, so moving on to, I take that user. So what was the username again? So the username was deploy is the username, and then Tomcat is the password, right? Now, so I save these credentials, add Jenkins, and so username is deploy is a username, and then so password is, what was the password? Tomcat is the password. Okay, Tomcat is a password. You can provide some name, let's say deploy to Tomcat credentials. Okay, now add it, and then there you have Tomcat deploy Tomcat credentials. Okay, select the credentials, and then so also make sure, as usual, we go with general, and then this project, and select that restrict where this project can be run. So I want to select that on some node or on some label, select some node, and then save it. Okay, let me go through the settings again. In the post build actions, select the type of files you want to deploy and the file name, then your Tomcat URL and the version, and then Tomcat credentials. So, and then where you want to run this project, select the project, node, save it. That is our node online. Let me find out. So where is my node? node is online, so no issues. We can run the jobs straight away. Let's see. So will it be deployed? So will it be success? Let's see. Will now. So was a failure, right? You see that bill number 1, it was a failure. So why it was a failure? Check the workspace, console output. Console output. So why it was a failure? So it is aborted. So the reason was no wars found. Okay. So if you want to deploy some files, so you need to have those files existing in the workspace, right? So workspace does not have those war files, then how you'll be able to deploy them? Yeah. So that's why it's got a failure. Right. Now, so what we need to have? We need to have this sample war file available on my workspace. This is the workspace. So that workspace must have your sample war file. Now I'm going to copy that war file into my workspace. So where is the workspace? The workspace is Jenkins home. Then you have workspace, and then you have deploy to Tomcat. That's my job name. So there we just copy the sample war file. I'm copying the sample war file. So I have it in media. There I have my sample war file. Copying to your current working directory dot. So there is your workspace. The sample war file. Okay. But so now let's again build it. Let's see. Dashboard. Sorry, not dashboard. Sorry. Back to the job. Deploy Tom. And then you have bill number 2. Cloud. So I think it's attempting to deploy one war file. Okay, so what is not deployed? Okay, but yeah, I think it is deploying now. Yeah, it's deployed successfully, doing a first deployment. So it is deployed successfully. Let's find out on Tomcat. Log into Manager app. So you have sample application. Yes, that is running now. Okay, so we have sample app is running successfully. Okay, then so where is the job? Okay. So that's my job. It's deployed successfully. But what if I want to deploy multiple war files? Okay, I want to deploy multiple war files. Okay, or else I want to deploy all war files. Take that example. This is a quite common scenario. So I have some number of war files in my workspace. I want to deploy all of them. Okay, how you do that? Now, so firstly, we just make sure we have number of war files available in the workspace. Let's do one thing. I'm going to copy that sample war file into something like capital.war file. And also I have something like, let's say, copy. So I'm just creating some number of war files, nothing else. So copy that into, let's say, app.war file, application.war. So you can create number of them. Let's say I have, so new app, let's say sample dot, and then also I have some new app dot war. So we have all these war files available on my workspace for my application purpose. So open the workspace. So I have number of war files. I want to deploy all of them. Okay. So now configure it. And then back to the post build actions. Just scroll down. And here you go with again the post build, sorry, not post build actions. We already have selected, right? Yes. There we have already selected. And then, so you can see that, just scroll up, scroll up. So here I have mentioned only the file name. I have mentioned only one file name, right? But what if you have, I want to deploy number of WAR files. Okay, I want to deploy number of WAR files. How do I do that? Do I need to mention star? No. So I already have mentioned star over here, saying that star.war files. That means all WAR files. I have already mentioned that. So do I need to mention that file names again over here? Nothing. So why? It's already mentioned over here. Then what do I mention? So if you want to mention some set of WAR files, you mention the WAR file names. But I want to deploy all WAR files, so I just leave it blank. You enter nothing. So this is like nothing. Okay. Now save it. And then, so let's build it again. Now what is the build number? Build number 3. Now it's deploying again. Yes. So it has deployed all WAR files again. Now first it was deploying application WAR. It was deploying capital.war. Also it's deploying new app WAR. But whereas sample.war file is redeploying it. It's redeploying the sample.war file. Okay, why it's redeploying? It's already there on my Tomcat. Since sample WAR is already there, sample application, it has just so redeployed. Now refresh. Now there you can see your WAR file. I have sample, new app. Also I have application, and what else we have? What else we have deployed? Capital dot something we have deployed. Yeah, we also have capital dot. Okay, and then again when you rebuild the job, it will be redeploying the WAR files again. So just rebuild it and they will be so redeployed. So they're all redeployed. So it's been redeployed. Okay. It's just a second, just a second. I'm sorry. Yeah, but so they have been redeployed. Yeah. Now this is how we just redeploy the applications. So you can deploy one by one, or you can deploy all the WAR files. So you can do it. So as we wish. Right. So but let me just give you so the actual scenario. Okay. Now I'm going to provide you and I'm going to share you these projects. Okay. So what you can do, you just take this application. You can try for these three, but take this application, lead app application. This is my application. For this application, you create and lead app WAR file. Firstly, let me just explain the scenario again. This project, you push it onto your GitHub repository. So you push it onto the GitHub repository. You push it first. Once you push your project to the GitHub repository, then what do you do next? You just try to do continuous integration. You create a job in continuous integration job. So something like this, GitHub Maven project. So you already have tried for consumer banking project. Now you'll be trying for this project. Okay. And then you just try to go with continuous integration of that project. You pull the code and then build it. When you build the project, that project will have your what type of package it will be. You will be designing and WAR package. Okay, look at that WAR package. Type of the package is WAR package. So you do the continuous integration for that. So you do the continuous integration. Okay. Now, as a part of continuous integration within the workspace, you can see that workspace file, right? So leadapp.war file. Why WAR file? Since it's a web application, my POM file has that. So WAR package, right? Okay. Next. After this package is ready, then what you're going to do? You're going to deploy that package onto the Tomcat. How you'll be doing it? In the same continuous integration project. Okay, this is your continuous integration project. You know the configurations as well. You take the repository URL first. Okay, so first source code repository URL, and then in the build steps, you take the build steps. Okay, and then in the post build actions, you take your post build action as in var AR to a container, and then after you just mention your, like, let's say I want to deploy WAR files, and then your WAR file name, the WAR package name was, what was the name of the package? The name of the package, okay, I think this is a different one, sorry. Just a second, let me open that. I think it's somewhere changed. I think this changed, 1 second. The package name, let's say lead app. Okay, save it. Now that's my package. Okay, lead app is a package. 1 second. Lead app, that's a package. Okay, and then so you just mention in your application your package name lead app, and then so you just save it, and whenever you do build your job, it has to perform two things. First is continuous integration, and after continuous integration is done, next thing is deployment. Okay, first thing is continuous integration, next thing is continuous deployment. So that's why I've defined these steps in my continuous in the post build actions in the continuous deployment step. Okay, so I will be sharing this project. You try that. So that scenario for this project. So that's a project. And once after you deploy it, when you check your Tomcat, you should have your application looks like this. You see that I already have deployed it. That is how the result has to be. Okay, so leadapp.war file. Hope that is clear. So let me again repeat it. First, the project which I'm going to share it, this project. So I've been going to share it through Google Drive. And once the project is shared for lead app, we can try with other projects as well. We can try with them. Okay, I also have other project that came up. So this is other project type. Okay, well, for this project type, you just also push them onto the repository. You just take it, but you take this project first, lead app, you push it to the repository. We know how to do it. And after that, you create a job on Jenkins, which is your continuous integration job. You select the steps. So what are the steps? First, select the repository, source code management repository, and then in the build steps, select your build tool and select the Maven versions. We know all of them, and also we have seen how to do the deployment step. But you do everything in a single job. Okay, and then that's your first scenario for today. So the first thing is first you install a plugin. Okay, let me give you the plugin name. The plugin name is so deploy to container is a plugin name. That's a plugin name. Okay, and then the first scenario is so deploy sample war file. You can download it and you can deploy it. And then so now take the project for lead app project. Okay, so try this continuous integration, continuous deployment. Okay. And then so what is next? So this is like one single job, right? It's only like one job. We don't have multiple jobs. But let's make it different. This is only one project or one job. But I have, let's say, two jobs. One is continuous integration job and other one is continuous deployment job. We have two jobs. Okay, take this example. For example, so this is my deployment job. That's my deployment job. Okay, and we're going to deploy the file which we have in our continuous integration project. This is our continuous integration project, right? Now, so this project, after continuous integration is built, then I want to trigger continuous deployment. Now, so this continuous deployment is a downstream project for the continuous integration. So how do I select it? In the continuous integration, configure it. Then I would select a post build action, and then in the post build actions, I go with so build other projects. I build the other projects. What is my the other project I want to build it? Deploy to Tomcat. That is only if the build is stable. Okay. So we are first triggering continuous integration, and then we are triggering as in post build action is continuous deployment. Okay, save it. Now continuous deployment is a downstream project, right? Now go to the downstream project. So what we are deploying? We are deploying the packages. But where are the packages? The packages are in the continuous integration workspace, right? I don't have any workspace in my deploy Tomcat. I don't have any WAR files. I would take that, configure it, and then I'm going to customize the workspace of this. How I'm going to customize the workspace? Advanced, and use a custom workspace. We know these things, okay? We have seen them already. Use custom workspace. In the custom workspace, you just mention the path of your continuous integration path. So that is nothing but Jenkins-home, and then you have your continuous integration job workspace. Workspace, and then the job name continuous integration GitHub name, and that is your workspace. And from that workspace, in the post build actions, I'm deploying my file name. What is the file name? Lead app. So this is how your build triggers like build after another job comes into the picture. Okay, so you just try that from your side. And this is my downstream project. That's a downstream project. And then, so this is an upstream project as usual. That's upstream project. Okay, hope the things are very, very clear. Okay, if you have any questions, just let me know. So what in case I want to deploy onto multiple containers? Yes, why not? You can deploy them onto multiple containers. So you just take that Tomcat and I add another Tomcat. Another Tomcat. Okay, so just go with add another Tomcat URL. That's the URL. Okay, so you can try that. You can take multiple downstream projects. Okay, I mean multiple containers. So in the downstream project, so you have the downstream project, your multiple Tomcat. Okay, take Tomcat 1 and then I can take multiple Tomcat servers. Tomcat 1 and then 2. So you can do that on multiple. In the same one, in the same project, you can take multiple Tomcat servers. Or else we also have alternate. The alternate is continuous integration is an upstream project. And then for that there is a downstream. That is a downstream. And for that again, there is another downstream. That's again deployment job. That's again another downstream project. Okay, so now you go with deploying them onto multiple Tomcat servers using multiple downstream projects. And you can make the conditions there. The stable condition, you can try different conditions. You might have tried these conditions already in the build triggers, but you can try them even still now. Okay, so where did I use it? In the post build actions. Okay, you can try that. Where is it? Post build actions. You can try that as a downstream project. Okay, we have selected that as an post build action, right? Since it's a post build action, you go to the upstream project. Okay, go to the upstream project and conf. Then the post build actions, and then you can try these actions, stable, unstable, and then build fails. Yeah, just try that. Hope that was clear, right? So these are your scenarios. You can try these scenarios, and for in the deployment purpose, I will be sharing this project. First, you try for the sample WAR file. You take a simple WAR file and then copy that, and then you can try with the project. So this project will be sharing after the session. So I will be sharing that project. So this project you can access them within the Jenkins folder. You can access that project. I will be sharing them. Okay. Well, so hope that was clear. Any questions, anyone? No questions? Well, fine. So, well, in tomorrow's session, we'll be talking about the scripted pipelines. We'll see how to write these Groovy scripts. Okay. So using scripted pipelines, how we design these so Jenkins projects. Okay, we talk about scripted pipelines. Okay. Well, yeah. Thank you. Any questions?
Sir, in the online classes,
Sorry.
Online classes continue.
Yeah, because we are not the deciders, right? So that is decided by the government. So until we get the notification, so we'll see how it goes. Because legally it's not allowed. You know, we people know it because we follow the updates news. right? So we'll see how far will be continued. So as soon as we can continue, we'll be continue online, and whenever we get the permission, we start the classroom sessions.
Thank you.
Okay. Yes. Thank you.